organizer, member of the Working Families Party. Thank you for being out here with us today to say to our state government to invest in us, in our schools, in our childcare system, in our sidewalks, in mental health services, in affordable housing, and in creating a recovery from COVID that is sustainable and that moves us towards justice. We are here to say to our state government to tax the rich, to make sure that that happens, and that we are only going to take the top 1% of Rhode Islanders and make sure that they are paying their fair share. In fact, the richest among us have been doing even better throughout the pandemic, even as families and communities across our state are struggling every day. The House Finance Committee is meeting tonight to hear this bill, and I know that dozens of you have already submitted written testimony and have signed up to testify verbally, so thank you for that. But we want to be out here too to make sure that every representative hears us loud and clear that we want to invest in us, in our communities, by taxing the rich. And that every representative sees these big, bold, beautiful, colorful letters that call out, invest in us, tax the rich. When I say, invest in us, I want y'all to say, tax the rich. Invest in us!
Tax the rich!
Invest in us!
Tax the rich!
Invest in us!
Tax the rich!
Woo! So thank you. We're also very lucky to have some of our champions here standing alongside us, like Representative Brandon Potter, the sponsor for the bill, Representative Karen Alzate, Representative David Morales, Katie Kazarian, and Brianna Henrys, Representative Kislak over there, and many other folks, Teresa, Tansy. Hi, thank you for coming out. Thank you for taking time to be here with us. And we're gonna start with a couple of speakers. So, Representative Alzate.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for being here. This is such a big deal, as much as we might not think it is. So it's time to invest in our state and for our residents. House Bill 5227 will do just that. This legislation will add one new tax bracket for the purpose of our state income tax. Our proposal is to raise the income tax from 5.9% to 8.9% for anyone making over $475,000, and that's approximately about 5,000 Rhode Islanders. Raising the taxes on our 1% will generate approximately $128 million. This will allow for extra money for our schools, for our roads, our beaches, parks, and it will revive our economy long after the pandemic relief from Washington is long spent and gone. The wealthiest have profited from the pandemic, while our low-income earners have struggled to keep their heads above water. It's time that the 1% paid their fair share and help other Rhode Islanders thrive. When we put people over money, we all win, the people and our economy. Let's pass House Bill 5227 this year. Where my girl at? Andrea, where'd you go? Oh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Rep. Alzate. Next, we're going to have my dear friend Roger, who is the owner of, his wife's the owner of La Bella Boutique on Chalkstone Ave.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Roger Izaguirre García. He venido acá por invitaciones, por una causa muy justa y muy relevante ahora mismo en estos momentos. Gracias, Andrea, por haberme invitado. Quiero hacerles una pequeña mención en cuanto a el estado de Rhode Island. 27 años viviendo en este estado, ¿verdad? Orgullosamente, Rhode Island me encanta. Ahora quiero adentrar, pero primero déjenme saludar a todos los representantes estatales presentes del estado de Rhode Island. Que levanten la mano, quiero conocer los que no conozco a ninguno. Mucho gusto.
Representatives, raise your hand.
Los felicito, soy un ciudadano más del estado de Rhode Island. Y he venido en representación de mi esposa Juana Flores, la propietaria de La Bella Boutique, una tienda pequeña, un negocio independiente que hace 5 años comenzó.
I'm here on behalf of my wife, Juanita Flores, who is the owner of La Bella Boutique, a business that was started approximately 5 years ago.
Y créanmelo, que en 27 años de estar residente en este estado, hoy hemos llegado al punto de analizar y justamente el tema que están tocando, y vine porque me gustó el tema a tratar ahora. La vida se ha puesto tan cara en Rhode Island que, como yo, hay muchos pensando en abandonar el estado de Rhode Island debido a los altos impuestos. Porque hemos visto que se han incrementado los impuestos sobre los pobres, pagando más impuestos, y los ricos quedándose con harto dinero. Y yo creo que los representantes estatales ha llegado el momento de tomar cartas en el asunto y frenar. Rhode Island no puede volver a caer cuando los años 94 que yo vine acá era una ciudad abandonada. Les toco esta historia. No dejen que esto suceda. Rhode Island está muy linda ahora, pero va a los pasos acelerados para perder ese poderío. Porque no pueden los ricos quedarse con tanto dinero y los pobres pagando tanto dinero en impuestos. Por favor, se los pido de favor, luchen. Ha llegado el momento que frenen. No dejen que la metrópolis como Nueva York, Rhode Island es un estado pequeño que necesita de la clase trabajadora como yo. Necesita. Defiendan ese derecho de los pobres trabajadores honestos. Ha llegado el momento y lo felicito. Creo que fuera muy extenso darle tanta publicidad, tanta lectura a esta. Y ha llegado, y les digo, gracias a este grupo de apoyo que ha venido a representarnos, y estoy aquí haciendo representación de mi esposa Juana Flores. Ella es la dueña de una pequeña tienda, como les dije, La Bella Boutique. Queda en la 1078 de la Chalkstone Avenue. Ella tiene una ropa que se ha fajado, ha llorado cuando la pandemia, cuando se hizo el cierre del COVID, sintió ella llorar, no era para menos. 4 años de carrera con su negocio, todo su dinero lo invirtió y iba a cerrar su tienda, pero hoy con el incentivo del gobierno ha vuelto a echarle fuerza.
Gracias, Roger. Next we have Terry from Dare.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Terry. I'm the housing organizer at DARE. First, can you hear me well? First, I want to start by saying there's a lot of healing that needs to be done, and we are here to address an imbalance that has existed throughout civilization, countering economic and social disparities. It's time to invest in Rhode Island. And we're not talking about a heavy taxation here. We're talking about 1%, which will prove to be lucrative in communities that need it the most. Communities that have been hurt by the most brute force economically. It's time to shift the narrative and focus on the people that need it the most. Focus on housing for all, sustainable jobs, reliable, safe child care. As we focus on health in this pandemic, we must remember that housing is also essential. Let's talk about social healing. You rebuild and you rehabilitate, not tear it down, not knock a person down. A 1% tax to Rhode Island's wealthiest will allow Rhode Island to thrive and save lives. People need services and opportunity for all, not just some people, not the select few. This goes all the way back to the Romans. And for us, Black, indigenous people of color, it's always been. We need laws and services. Our communities need this tax to build and help maintain lower income BIPOC and marginalized communities from self-destruction, from oppression, from gentrification, from genocide, so that we may exist as equally as someone with white counterparts. And that includes the abolition of racist systems. Support reentry. Support reentry resources like housing and job training. It's time for Rhode Island to look out for Rhode Island at the state and local level. It's really inhumane how folks who can help do not help when a person is down. Homelessness, unhoused folks and their families are now sleeping in their cars, looking for a safe place to park at night without being told to move their vehicles. You couple all of this together with global warming, the world isn't dying, the world is trying to survive. It's time for Rhode Island to thrive, which is transform, heal, renew by investing in a vibrant economy. And also, I want to say stop evictions and save lives. Rhode Island needs a moratorium at the state and local level that's going to keep people housed during this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Do we have Joe? Joe B? Oh, okay. Next we have Khadijah Lewis-Khan, who is the Executive Director of Beautiful Beginnings Child Care Center.
So over the last 15 years, the state has reduced investments in many of the programs that support children and families in our state. I'll take off my mask. In Rhode Island, we currently allocate $47 million less in general state revenue for child care than we did in 2005. Raising the income tax on the top 1% earners who have benefited from so many of the state and federal tax breaks is not only a necessary move, but it's one that will improve the outcomes for many of the citizens in Rhode Island. and make it a more equitable and just tax system. We need to invest funds in our infrastructure programs that support families so we can build back Rhode Island stronger. We don't want to rebuild, we want to rebuild better, right? We want to build back better. Childcare, the cost of childcare, well, the reduced general revenue and cuts to childcare have affected families in many ways. And childcare is often a family's second largest budget item behind housing. And if they have multiple children, it can be even more than housing costs in Rhode Island. In 2008, we cut the eligibility to families to access child care assistance, and it has never been restored. That's something that's hurting our families, that's affecting women's ability to go back to work, and we need to change this. Reduction in general revenue also means that the rates for reimbursement for families that do access the system are very low. So that means that the wages in the field for early educators, even ones with degrees, are very low. They're one of the lowest paid workers in the state. That needs to change. Our essential workers need to be treated like they're essential. They need to be compensated for the work that they do. Because of the deinvestment of funds in childcare in the state, there's a lot of deferred maintenance in childcare. Recent surveys say that 89% of childcare centers need to make improvements to their program, and 88% of those need help with funding to make those improvements. We want our childcare to be safe. We want our childcare system to be well funded, because our children, there's no better investment than our children. Childcare is a public good. The benefits go beyond just the social and emotional and cognitive benefits for the children. Because of childcare, parents can work reliably, knowing that their children are well cared for. And I think we've seen in this pandemic just how important childcare is to the economy and to the families in the state. So we support Rep. Alzate's Revenue for Rhode Island bill. We think that taxing the 1%, it makes this a more just and equitable system that will help Rhode Island emerge stronger. So thank you.
Thank you, Khadijah. Next we'll have Pastor Rodriguez, pastor of Gloria Dei Church and with the Rhode Island Interfaith Coalition.
Thank you to the worker family for the invitation, and greetings to everyone. I am the Pastor Santiago Rodriguez, a member of the Rhode Island Interfaith Coalition fighting against poverty with faith. Our sacred texts are very clear and rich regarding justice. And in all the biblical teaching about society is that God has a passionate concern for justice for all, especially the poor, the weak, and the oppressed member of society. God demands in the whole nation and in this particular state justice. So we do support a legislation that will make the wealthiest pay their fair share of taxes. We support this effort. We support this fight 100%. It's time we have a fair tax system in Rhode Island in the face of unprecedented social need and suffering. We must raise revenue for vital programs and services fairly. Raising revenue for the state by making everyone pay the fair share seems like a basic and fundamental approach. The wealthiest in our state should pay their fair share taxes. That's not possible to continue following a system that demands from the rich zero taxes, free taxes. Like we can see, taxes not working. At the end, rich people are more rich, poor people are poorest. So we need to change that tendency, we need to change that practice, we need to change the system. Now I want to encourage you that this fight is not easy fight. So we need to be strong in our will, in our willingness to fight. Change the system is not easy. Fight against the status quo is not easy. Fight against the establishment is not easy. So you need to be prepared, be ready to fight very hard. And please count with the community of faith, because we are the committee to let the people know that God is with you in your fight. And our secretaries disapprove the concentration of wealth among few people. One of the ancient prophets said yesterday and says today, but let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never falling stream. So that is our commitment with you in this fight. So come with us at the Interfaith Coalition. Our executive director is just here, David Vallis, and through him you can connect us, and we come with us. We want to accompany you in this fight. Woo! God bless you. God bless everyone.
Thank you, Pastor Rodriguez. Next we'll have Rachel Flum. Hi.
How are you? Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Flum with the Economic Progress Institute, and I'm here to set the record straight on a couple things. The first is, this is a good time to raise taxes. You may have heard otherwise, but in fact, it is always a good time to raise taxes on the top 1% because they can afford to pay. But also, you may have heard, and you heard from Terry and others, how there are many people who have been hurt during this pandemic. But let me assure you that the folks who are the 5,000 filers who this tax will target are not those people. The top 1% have been at home, working from home. They have not seen their income go down. And in fact, I was just on a call listening to how much they're saving, right? How many of you guys are saving? This is the group that is saving during this pandemic. And so we can afford to have them pay more to help us all do better. It's important to pass this now. You may have heard this is not the time because we're getting a lot of federal dollars, but that is not the case. The way tax policy works is it takes a while to get the revenue. If we pass this now, it will go into effect for tax year 2022, which means it will get the revenue in April of 2023, just about the time that those federal funds are done. We know that people will still need help overcoming what they face during this pandemic in 2023, but we need to pass this now so that we have the revenues we need then to keep going after the federal funds are gone. The other thing I just want to talk about is that there's no evidence that this will hurt our population. I got a secret. People don't move because of their taxes. They may move because of the weather, although on a day like today, I don't know why anybody would need to move. But they don't move because of taxes, and the data shows that. If you look at the last 20 years, there's not a mass migration. If you look at a state like New Jersey that just passed a tax on the wealthy, people are not moving. Their census data just went up. So people are not going to move. And the other thing to note is it's not going to hurt our economy. In fact, it should help our economy. When we are able to invest in things that businesses want, like childcare, good bridges, good roads, businesses will thrive, and we will all do better. So I just want to hit on small businesses for a minute. We've heard a lot about how small businesses will be impacted. Let me just tell you something. The vast majority of small businesses are not making $475,000 after expenses a year. They're just not. If there are some that are making over $475,000 a year, then yes, we are going to ask them to pay a little bit more. But we know there aren't many because, again, there are only 5,000 filers in the whole state who will be impacted by this tax. Instead, small businesses, as we heard earlier from Roger, will enjoy better schools, better roads and bridges, and better outdoor spaces if we raise this revenue. One thing that hasn't been mentioned today, but you all know, this is a very popular proposal. In fact, 72% of Rhode Islanders, which means there were Republicans supporting it. It means there are people in Johnson who are supporting it. This is popular, guys. Everybody thinks this is a good idea, and so we should pass it now. The other thing that I just want to hit on is how this will address our racial and tax equity. Our overall tax structure is regressive, which means the folks in the lowest income bracket, when you add up all their taxes together, are paying more, a higher percent of their income in taxes than those in the highest percent. That's upside down. That's an upside down tax structure. Also, currently the top 40% of income earners, let alone the top 1%, are disproportionately white Rhode Islanders. That means if we can rebalance our tax code, we can begin to address these inequities, both in our tax code and in racial inequities. So in closing, the economics behind taxing the rich and investing Rhode Island programs are clear. This proposal will help Rhode Islanders, including small businesses, and there's no proof that it will drive the wealthy out of the state. It's rhetoric like that they just use to try to divide us. But if we invest in all our communities, we will make sure that all Rhode Islander is a better place to live for ourselves, our children, and our families. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you to all of our speakers today. Representative Alzate, Roger, Terry, Khadijah, Pastor Rodriguez. There are so many reasons why we need to raise revenue for Rhode Island this year. And we need to make sure that the House hears us tonight. We need to make sure that the House and the Senate and the governor continue to hear us loud and clear, and that they see our big and bold and beautiful letters. So before we head out, I would like everyone to text INVEST to 30403, and you'll get a link immediately sent to you where you can email your rep and your senator and let them know that you are out here and that we need to do better about investing in Rhode Island and taxing the top 1%. And before you leave, we would also like for you to sign our letter poster board on the table. Right there, Zach is holding it, and we're gonna deliver that to the speaker's office.
Can you say the number again?
INVEST to 30403. 403.
Repeat that one more time.
Invest to 30403. And you'll get a link and you'll be able to send a letter to both your representative and your senators because we need to make sure that this happens this year. Exactly what Rachel was saying. It needs to happen this year because we won't see the benefits of it until 2023. And we can't afford to push this back further. So one last time, I would love for us to chant, tax the rich, invest in us. So this time I'm going to say, tax the rich, and I want all of you to say, invest in us. Tax the rich!
Invest in us!
Tax the rich!
Invest in us!